Boy, as if Omega wasn't intimidating enough, now we've got Savage Omega, an even more powerful version just waiting to make us suffer. With both Omega and Savage Omega on the horizon, I want to share the build I'd personally use if I were to solo these fights. From handling the missile barrages and flame burst, to shutting down the Nursilla clone before Delta attack, this setup is all about surviving the chaos while still dishing out serious damage. We just got new gameplay footage of a full Omega hunt, plus a short snippet showing Savage Omega in action. And after watching and rewatching it, I think I finally locked in the loadout I'll be using against both versions. To make it even more interesting, I'm setting a personal challenge. I'm going to solo both Omega and Savage Omega before I allow myself to touch multiplayer. Crazy? Yeah, maybe. But fun? Absolutely. If you've been following my channel, you already know how much I love my Woundbreaker build. It's one of my all-time favorites. The idea is simple. Keep the pressure on while sustaining through the fight. The setup uses 2 pieces of Guardian Arcveld and 2 pieces of Xoxia, giving me the sustain I need to stay in the hunt while hitting the monster where it really hurts. With Partbreaker adding bonus damage to wounds and Flayer helping create them more consistently, it's a strong mix of survivability and offense. For Omega, I'm sticking with that same foundation, but with a few key tweaks to handle the unique mechanics of this hunt. I'm calling it the Omega Breaker build. Yeah, it's a little cheesy, but it fits perfectly. First off, you'll notice there's no earplugs in this build. That decision freed up slots to max out both Counterstrike and Evade Extender. From what I've seen in the dev demo hunts, Omega doesn't really roar, so earplugs felt wasted here. That gave me 2 level 2+ slots to put into something much more valuable. Counterstrike is pretty straightforward. This fight is going to be punishing, and I expect to get hit often. Maxing it out means every time I take a hit, I can immediately turn that into extra damage to hit back harder. And then there's Evade Extender at max, which is huge. It helps with repositioning, avoids getting trapped in corners, and keeps me from relying solely on blocking and taking chip damage. In fact, from the dev hunts we've seen, it really looks like while you can try to block everything, it's much more effective to get used to evading some of Omega's bigger moves. Yikes. I really encourage hunters to get comfortable with evading for positioning, because it saves you a lot of chip damage and lowers the risk of getting carded. It's definitely going to take some practice. Even for me, I know I'll still fall back into the habit of trying to guard everything, but over time, as you start to recognize Omega's patterns, evading will feel more natural. And when you pull it off, you'll avoid unnecessary chip damage and keep yourself in control of the fight instead of just holding block and bleeding health. For the weapon choice, I recommend going with the Artian Gunlance for both Thunder and Fire builds. The main reason is flexibility. Artian lets you slot in more weapon deco skills compared to laggy or Rathalos Gunlances. For the Thunder Artian, I've maximized Thunder attack to get the most value out of Wormstake Cannon and Drake Augur, since both can apply elemental damage. And because the Thunder Artian is a long shelling type, it fits the role perfectly. The Fire Artian works the same way, just swap in Fire attack instead. On the defensive side, I'm running 2 levels of guard, since they combo nicely with load shells and offensive guard, giving much needed tankiness when blocking Omega's attacks. I also have guard up 1 slotted into the talisman so that both Gunlances I swap between can benefit from it. Now here's where it gets tricky. From the demo footage, it doesn't really look like guard up 3 is necessary. We don't even know yet which of Omega's moves actually require guard up. For example, there's that laser beam that stuns you if it connects. But in the footage, Tankson went into Stalwart Guard while blocking it normally, which suggests full guard up might not be essential. That said, since every demo loadout with a guarding weapon did have guard up, I'm playing it safe with guard up 1 for now. Once Omega is live, I'll test thoroughly to see if we actually need higher levels or if we can free those slots for other skills. Now, for those of you who don't have access to the Artian Gunlance, don't worry. You can still run this build with either the Loggy Gunlance or the G Lawful Boars. Just keep in mind that Nursilla isn't affected by Dragon Element. So with G Lawful Boars, you'll mostly be relying on its raw damage and the stronger Wyvern Fire output to carry you. On the other hand, the loggy Gunlance is a safer bet since Nerscylla is somewhat weak to Thunder on specific parts. If you go this route, there are some sacrifices. You'll need to trade fire resistance for thunder resistance to maximize damage, which means dealing with Fire Blight since you won't be sitting at 20 fire res anymore. You'll also be down one level of guard compared to the Artian setup. Technically, you can drop load shells to free up room for more guard or guard up, but that does mean giving up a bit of damage. Even so, it might be worth it, because when it comes to Omega, a little extra comfort can be the difference between surviving the hunt or getting carded. So you might be asking, why even bother running a Flayer build against Omega? Flayer doesn't even work with a lot of Gunlance moves, right? Well, the answer is simple: Pantokrator Mode. According to the tooltip, Pantokrator Mode can actually be disabled by creating and destroying wounds on Omega's legs. And since the whole idea here is wound play, we might as well stack in the benefits. Partbreaker boosts our wound damage, Flayer helps us create wounds, even if only some Gunlance attacks trigger it, and Decimator gives us sustain while we break them. It all ties together perfectly. Even a single level of Flayer can help disable Pantokrator Mode faster, keep Omega locked down during those Focus Strike animations, and, as a bonus, keep the whole team safer if multiple hunters bring Flayer. In that case, wounds will be popping up like a Christmas tree. But at the end of the day, that's just how I see the hunt from my perspective. So that's the build I'll be taking into the Omega hunt. Of course, depending on how the fight actually plays out and the more experience I gain, I'll be making tweaks here and there, especially with skills like Guard Up, Guard, Evade Extender, or even Partbreaker. But the foundation will stay the same. The Woundbreaker build now reworked into the Omega Breaker build. One quick reminder, always adjust the build depending on what talisman you have. With the right RNG, you might even end up landing on something very close to this exact setup. And don't forget, I've set myself that personal challenge. I'll be fighting both Omega and Savage Omega solo before I allow myself to hop into multiplayer. This isn't about speedrunning, it's just a challenge I want to take on, especially since I never soloed Behemoth or Extreme Behemoth back in the day. Before I wrap up, I want to take a moment to thank my channel members. Your support means the world to me, and it's what allows me to keep putting out these breakdowns, builds, and hunts for the community. Courage and Honor Hunters, I couldn't do this without you. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the Omega hunts ahead. I'm Marneus, and I'll see you in the hunt.